Welcome back to Smart Life. I'm Dr. Gina, and the whole thing is about helping you live the smart life, right? So college graduates, we think they have a lot to look forward to. Well, they do. It depends, I guess, on what you mean by looking forward to. They're going to be looking at a lot of debt, few jobs, moving back into mom's basement. But hey, at least they can be a great troll on Twitter. It doesn't always have to be that way. Mincer is the Chief Talent Officer from chieftalentofficer.com. And Michael Sheetz is a student at King's College in New York City, a place where I spend far too much of my life. And always nice to drive back, isn't it, to the palm trees and the little red roofs that you come in when you, yeah, love that, love that. But anyway, it's good to have you with us today because there is a recent article in the New York Times talking about how student debt is growing so much faster now than ever in history, and these people are starting out at a real disadvantage. Tell us a little bit about what you know.
From my personal experience, I know that the Wall Street Journal put out an article about 4 days ago in terms of the class of 2014's average student debt, which is now $33,000 on average per student, which is very high in comparison. It's been growing at a rate of about $2,000 to $3,000 a year. And for me personally, that was kind of like a benchmark when I came into college. I just finished up my freshman year, and I decided I didn't want to go to college immediately out of high school if I was going to rack up more than $30,000 after 4 years.
But how many kids are really thinking of that? I mean, I really want to ask you that straight up. How many of your peers were thinking in those sorts of terms? Because I know when I was in college, I just thought somehow it'll all work out. I didn't want to think, you know, I didn't have that finite perspective that you had.
Yeah, that's exactly a very big problem, which is that a lot of college students don't kind of think that 4 years ahead, and oftentimes even 5 years ahead as juniors in high school. And so they're not thinking, maybe I should take a gap year and just, you know, try to work my way, make some money. Maybe I should go to community college for 2 years, work through my GEs. And so those options are usually on the table. It's usually just throw them into a 4-year college, a big state school, something like that, and hopefully it'll work out for them, and maybe it'll just, you know, they'll find their calling while they're in college, which oftentimes, like, you know, you come out with a degree in psychology or something like that, that maybe you're not really interested in that, but you thought it was fun while you were in college, and now you have $40,000, $50,000 in debt, and you have no idea what you're really doing.
That you need a master's degree and a PhD, and oh, by the way, another master's degree to actually be able to do anything with your degree, so that you can have a show called Smart Life and go into broadcasting instead. I totally get that, and that's a lot of debt. I always think about just the money that my parents put toward college and that I put toward college, and thinking, I would love to have that cash instead now, you know, and some studies say that kids who do take that route are doing better in the long run than the kids who even have very prestigious degrees from prestigious schools, just because along with that debt, a lot of times comes credit card debts, car loans, other expenses, because there's sort of a difference in the attitudes about entitlement with the millennials. I want to get your comment on that before I go to Shane.
Yeah, that's very interesting, because a lot of people believe that, oh, I should be living on my own, or I can't move back to my parents' house after they graduate from college, or I need to go to a grad school, and that'll end them up in even more debt because, you know, you're paying for your apartment, you're paying for food, a lot of expenses you're not expecting. You're not set up financially to support yourself, and so you're not ready, and you don't have a degree to back it, as well as a job to support it.
But Shane, you say, as somebody who helps people match up with their right jobs, you say that a lot of companies, they still like that recent college graduate. Why?
Well, I think that there's a place for everybody, and some of the people that are coming out, especially in niche, like Michael here is focusing on broadcasting, and so he can intern with different broadcasting affiliates or whatnot in New York City. But in those organizations, or at least when the graduates that come out, they get swiped really quickly. So when you're in a niche area and you're excelling, generally in the university, it's, even though there's 40% that come out undergrad, they're not employed. But if you really look at the specialty niches with education, a lot of people do excel immediately, and they're not unemployed. So we could look at those stats and kind of look at that and kind of come to conclusions on anything. But I think it's really good. We've got to talk about grants. Again, we mentioned that last time. It's really important. If Michael and his decision making, if it wasn't for the grant that he got at King's, most likely he wouldn't have been able to excel. My dad had a full scholarship through USC and got his PhD. He went through the whole thing, and walked out without paying a dime. So we also have to look and consider those. There's some people that just can't afford college. So they should try, having their dreams go to community college. We know a lot of, a lot of peers that went to the community college and they graduated at Fullerton State or the UC system.
Right, and that's a great point too. There are all these new, very progressive, in a good way, programs that one my daughter's participating in called College Plus, where you can get your basic stuff out of the way and you can do it young, you can do it while you're still in high school, and then you're ready to go to law school or to go to get your master's degree when most people are just getting their fingers into college. You do forego the traditional fraternity, sorority, I don't know what else you forego, but that whole, 4-year college plan. But it is a less expensive way, and for people who, my daughter was establishing a career at 14. She was already a paid journalist, so why in the world would she reinvent that wheel? As opposed to someone like me, who did get a more general degree, a psychology degree, which you can do nothing with. Just be sure you know that. Nothing. I'm sorry, I'm so anti-psychology. But, or English, or there's so many other things that people are, that used to be the thing. You used to want that more general, like humanities degree, but you're saying if it's more niche, it's going to be better, and if people will take the time to look into grants or other programs that might be available, they can do it more cost effectively.
Yeah, it's definitely an option. I have a friend who just graduated from Cal State Fullerton. She spent about 2 years finishing her major at Cal State Fullerton, but she spent 2 years in community college getting those GEs down and getting them ready. I had another friend who's currently at Berkeley, and he's at Berkeley because of a grant that made it possible for him to go there, and so he's not going there with a massive amount of student debt. He can pursue a major in economics without having that burden of the economic downfall of graduating from Berkeley afterwards, and have that prestigious school behind him, but with the experience and without the debt.
So, Shane, what's your best advice to those who are looking at a big amount of college debt? Maybe there's just no way around it. Maybe they're not qualifying for the scholarships. They're not getting the grants. What's your best piece of advice as far as majors, fields that employers are hiring in right now?
Yeah, I would go back to the basics. I think, like for me, I had a golf ball retrieving business for 4 years.
What did you just say?
A golf ball retrieving business for 4 years.
Okay,
I came
that is
home,
what she said.
I came home at 10 with $100 of cash in my pocket, and I did that for 3 years. And my dad realized, oh my gosh, my son is an entrepreneur, and he put me in training school as a teenager, which most people, they go for IBM HP sales. I went through the same educational training at 14. And so by the time I even graduated from high school, I already had 6 years of experience traveling the world for my dad's business. So how do you, so I was kind of the out of the box. And when I went to state school, I was a night school guy. I wasn't really connected to school. My mind was like at GM or at NASA or JPL for my dad. So all of us have different career tracks, but I want to touch on one thing, because my job is all about, this guy is incredibly talented and gifted. He's going to excel. He's going to go. And my whole thing is, us parents, we need to discover our kids, have their love for learning.
Yes.
Now, homeschoolers, yeah, we might have a monopoly on that because we're trying to jumpstart.
We're constantly looking at them all day while they're learning, and we know what really gets them excited.
Exactly.
And what doesn't.
We know what our kids are excel about, and one of the nice things about that is early on they can start. We know friends. Our girls started a foundation. And they tied it to a local organization where they were able to raise thousands of dollars at the age of 10. And now they look back, they're like, wow, I really did that?
Yeah.
And it gave them some sense of value that they can be a part of the microfinancing institution movement for the last 10 years. And they can look back and say, yeah, I did that when I was 10. And so I think everyone has these incredible gifts and talents and abilities, and they might discover it late in life. In the university. But I think the most important thing is have this love for learning, because we talked about continuing education, that we're all learning something,
yes, and I think there's
something
another thing to say about that I think is important, and it sounds to me like you really have a grip on this. That is that learning doesn't have to take place in an institution. You can do a lot of learning by gathering up internships, by just going and asking somebody who has the job that you want someday, can I just shadow you for the day and take notes and learn from you? No one that I know would say no to that. And I think people might be surprised if they were willing to ask and willing to take that risk, what they would learn from that. Is this something that you plan?
This is definitely something I'm on track for, and something I went to the King's College for. They offer a vast amount of internship opportunity in being in the financial district of New York City. And for me, as my interest in broadcast journalism, it offers a huge opportunity to be in the media hub of the country, if not the world. And so that opportunity to just gain internships, and I have friends that are, they're freshmen, they just finished up their first year, and they already have internships with news organizations and different papers in the city. And that opportunity just to go and maybe do a little bit of menial work, but to do it well and to do it hard and put a lot of effort into it, that's going to get you places. And that excellence is going to move you forward.
But it's cold there.
Yeah, it is.
It's really cold there.
Long winter this year.
Yes, I was there for too much of it. Anyway, I do appreciate you, Shane and Michael, for being on the show. Where can we find you guys online?
ChiefTalentOfficers.com.
All right. You want to give one too?
And the EmpireStateTribune.com.
There you go.